What is up? That was a good one. Let that play. Let that play, Kiki. Go. Let it go. Oh, that was it. Oh my gosh, that was a good one. That was a good one because that fits today. That fits today. I don't know what you've heard about me, right? Little 50 Cent, our guest actually interviewed 50 Cent. We're going to talk about that here. I mean, that would be pretty tight to sit down next to my boy 50 and hear what he has to say. But welcome everybody to The Word. Kiki, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have another lady up in here.
I know. I'm super excited. This is supposed to be a visual show with your fine ass and Shama's fine ass and my fine ass. This is supposed to be a fine ass show, right?
Right.
But the Google gods once again just made our lives difficult. It's brutal, huh?
Brutal.
Yes, Shama is not going to be able to get her camera to work, and so we are not going to be able to see her. We'll just see a still photo. So we apologize for all those watching live. Those on the podcast, you're sitting in your car thinking, I don't give a shit. I can't see it anyways.
You can just look at her LinkedIn picture while you're watching.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, people, welcome to The Word, episode 17. Today we're going to be talking about branding, personal branding, lead development. As Shama likes to say, we're going to be talking about attract, convert, transform. So it's going to be a good show. Again, The Word is all about sales, success, motivation, in a fast, fun-paced, unfiltered, straight-in-your-face approach. So if you don't like it, don't listen anymore. We don't care. If you're too hung up on the words we use or the message or how we deliver the message and you're not hearing the message in the first place. So with that said, Kiki, anything we want to hit before we jump into the show? We don't have a video today. We don't have a word on the street today, do we?
We do not. We are just getting to the meat of the show today, quick and fast. And other than that, if you are watching on YouTube, if you're watching live, I will be populating some of Shama's, Shama Hyder. She is the CEO of the fast-growing Marketing Zen, and I'm going to throw up some links to their website, Shama's personal site, so if you want to learn more about her on your own, you sure can.
All right, perfect, perfect, perfect. And folks, if you have questions, hit them us at SalesJolt, hashtag SalesJolt. Shama will answer them for you. I'll answer them. Kiki will answer them, so get them to us and we'll ask them. And for those of you who don't know, should know, iTunes podcast, you can listen there. If you didn't hear last week's show, you have to go back and listen to last week's show. It was straight up for real, off the hook. David Dunning of the Dunning-Kruger Effect absolutely slayed it. The information was powerful. His research is going to mess with you. It's going to force you to question how good you think you are and how good you really are. But if you let it sink in the gray matter, it'll actually change your life and help you improve. So if you didn't hear episode 16, go back and listen to it. But with that said, shall we bring on Miss Shama?
Yes. The lovely Shama.
What up, guys? This, I have to say, is probably the coolest, in the true sense of the word, coolest hangout I have ever been on.
Thank you.
It feels very happening. I feel really cool. I don't often feel cool, so I thank you guys for that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I don't know if our effort was to go cool, but it was certainly to go not boring, right? I was just reading something. Who said it? Peter Thiel.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Peter Thiel. You're familiar with Peter, are you not?
I am. Yeah, we're buddies. We have coffee. No, I don't know him like that, but we're cool.
I was be like, damn, you go, girl, you go. I read somewhere that he's gone on the record of saying he doesn't like to hire MBAs and those folks because he says we have a herd mentality, and people who take MBAs and graduate from big prestigious schools and all that, they're almost trained in the herd mentality, so they do what everybody else does, and it lacks innovation, lacks creation, and lacks people's willingness to do things different. Well, I didn't do any of that shit, so I didn't get caught up in the herd mentality. So I'm all good adding a little urban hip-hop to real, solid, fact-based, in-depth knowledge, and that's why you're here.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I can roll with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Shama, tell the crew, for those who don't know you, tell everybody a little bit who you are, why you're great, because I know you're great, why you're great, and what you're all about.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know me, I am the founder and CEO of the Marketing Zen Group. It's a web marketing and digital PR firm based here in Dallas. Texas. I am a Texas girl, but we work with clients all over the world. And when I'm not running the company, I am authoring books. I'm the author of The Zen of Social Media Marketing, which is going into, I can't believe it, it's 4th edition now in 2016. And my second book, which is coming out, called Momentum, about how to market in the digital age. So when it comes to marketing in the digital age, I guess I'm your girl. So I've got books, and then Keenan, you and I obviously met at Inbound, where we were both speaking together. So that's another part of the puzzle. And yeah, I mean, I'd like to really think that in my own little way, I make the world a better place by adding value and helping people make sense of sort of the crazy ecosystem that we live in today.
Well done, well done. And I like the fact that you said, I like to believe I make the world a better place. If you think you make the world a better place, you're heading in the right. If the goal is to make the world a better place, you're heading in the right direction. So I'm going to get on that bandwagon and say, yes, you are.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. So I read your book, right? And what caught me off guard, in a good way, is there's not a lot of anecdotal shit in there. You got right to it. It's almost like an instructional book. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Did you do that on purpose, or is that just your nature? Talk to me how you got there.
Yeah, so I think it's a little bit of both. I'm a very tactical-oriented person. Like when I read something, when I attend something, when I engage with something, I immediately want to know, how do I apply this, right? How do I turn around and enact this? Because I feel like all the learning in the world is great, but it's only as good as what do you actually do with it? How are you actually utilizing it? So that's really important to me, I think. And then also that is my style. And also when I wrote the book originally, I found that there was maybe one other book out there actually when I wrote it initially. It was very theoretical, and I like theory. I'm an academic at heart. I think theory has a place and a time, and it's a fit sometimes. But I really like to think that I'm a practical sort of person. So even when I speak, I often talk in like takeaways and what I want people to do, like the moment they leave the room and stuff, because I feel like that's how they're really going to get true value out of whatever it is. And if I was in the room, that's what I'd want. So maybe that's a little bit of projection.
No, I like that. Projection has its place, good and negative, so I like that. So actually thinking about providing value, I'm going to take a step back and tell people, look, your book is about social media and how to leverage social media for individuals, small companies, and even large companies, how to leverage social media to, well, as you say, right, attract, convert, ACT, to act, attract, convert, and transform. How else what would you add to that description of your book? And what would you tell people about what your book's about?
I would say that the book is a primer, Keenan.
Oh my goodness, the Google gods have just struck us again.
Oh no.
She's gone. I mean, she fell like someone jumped off a cliff. She's in the middle of it talking poof.
Here's my big knowledge bomb, so see ya.
Oh, she's working her way back in. That was good. It's serious. I would love, okay, folks, while we take this moment to break, I would love everybody's thoughts who listens to this and is watching this on YouTube. Put it in the comments, right down there below in the comments. Do you guys see value in the video? Because, look, there are a lot of podcasts out there, guys. Art of Charm and Carlos's Hustle, and they're endless, right? My favorite one, Radio Lab. I mean, there's tons of podcasts, and nobody touches the video element, the visual element. I think the visual element is pretty cool. But you have these problems. We suffer with this, right, Kiki? Right.
The more you add, the more potential issues you have.
As a live event and visually, or should we say, fuck it, and just do a podcast, do it any time of the day, and launch that shit not live, no questions asked, and you just consume it. No participation, no visual play. I don't know, what do you think, Keek?
I mean, you know what? I think people are finding us on the podcast, like, as far as it being adding an element of problem and technical difficulty, that might be something to consider. But as far as the content, I mean, I like video. I know a lot of millennials like video. People are finding us anyways on the podcast. So as far as like quality of show, I like the video. but yes, it does add more room for error.
And I can chip in my 2-bit, guys,
Yay!
as far as what video and podcast. So it's so funny because I've struggled with this same question, and I have my own experiences with it. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but I relaunched. I said relaunched because it'd been kind of dormant for a while. Shama TV just 2 weeks ago, and honestly, I'm really excited. It's been so well received, and as Keenan would say, it's killing it. I don't know if you actually see that, Keenan. It just seems like something you'd say. So I'm going to be like, it's killing it. And so I'll tell you kind of why I did it that way and what I've learned from that. It might be useful for anyone listening too, because I feel like a lot of people have struggled with that challenge, right? Because video takes more effort in the sense that you have to look good on camera. And people don't realize this. And Keenan, I'm telling you, you have it so easy as a dude because you just put on your shirt and your headphones and you're like, I'm jamming. But Kira will attest to this. When I do my videos, I'm amazed. I get just as many comments on how I look and sound than I do the content. Like, people will be like, oh my god, I love your eyeliner. I have guys commenting on like lighting and makeup and what color I should wear next time. It's a whole different world. So I'm just going to put that out there, that if you are a chick, a podcast may be easier if you don't have that much time to spend on your, and I have a whole team. I mean, the video production, it's a team, and I know you guys, they've put in so much effort with Sales Jolt here, and it's awesome because it shows, right? At the end of the day, like, this is heads and shoulders above so many other hangouts and stuff like that because you guys put the extra effort and you make it more valuable for the audience, which is epic. So with video, it's similar. I think it's just a standard. Like, so when I do my video stuff, it takes me so much longer than if I just did a podcast, because there's a lot more elements to consider. That being said, video is so powerful. They did a study a while back that showed 24% of people will finish reading an article versus 80% that'll finish watching a 30-minute commercial video clip. Mind-blowing. Wow. And I've tested it. I've tried it. Some of my first videos were things like how to make a good business card. I thought it was so mundane and stupid, and this one video had 8,000 views. I mean, I write for Forbes, Inc., all these things. I can promise you, like, a few of my articles have gotten that many views that quickly, But video has that power. I think the other thing is giving people options. So one thing that I've talked to my team about is, hey, maybe we take the audio from the video and turn it into a podcast so people can still listen to it in the car. I find myself doing that more and more now. But I think there's something to be said about the videos, like with Shama TV stuff that we just launched 2 weeks ago. And I can also, by the way, Keenan, feel free to tell me to stop because I have so much to share on this whole video concept that you're like, that's not what we were going to talk about.
No, it's good though, because look, my job's to bring it all around. No, it's good. My job's to bring it all around.
And these are good. Sorry, people like ask me this all the time, so I think I know other people are also curious about it, but you feel free to tell me when you're like, yo, Shama, stop being video girl here.
No, look, we'll wrap it all in. This is good stuff because we're talking, I mean, look, we're trying to set up the show. When you fell, we dropped you, so glad you made it back. And the idea of the show is about promoting and marketing and branding for individuals, for companies, for Fortune 5000, etc. And video is part of that. So we can spend some time on this video. It's about a freestyle. We're going to go where it goes. The interesting thing about women in video, right, is I have it easy. I just have to put on a shirt and my red headphones. But I don't get fans because of how I look. No matter how.
I think you'd get the ladies, man. I think Kira and are like, yo, I tune in for that.
You're good. But not like men. Like, men are just wired differently, right? Men are absolutely wired differently. And if there is a smoking hot chick, they will watch it just because. They won't even hear what you're saying. They'll just watch it.
Interesting concept, then, isn't it, Keenan? Because I'm like, do I want guys watching just for the way I look? Like, I'm spending good time and money and resources and coming up like good content, right? And I get a comment like, you look smoking hot. Well, thanks, buddy. Glad you found my piece on marketing to Fortune 500s. So insightful.
Let me take your work and spit it back to you. The first word in the acronym ACT, attract. Now, it's up to you for your content to convert them and then transform them. But if you can get an extra 25, 30%, 50% attraction rate because of how you look, take it.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to deny it, right? I'm not, look, I'm not going to deny that there's no halo effect. I studied organizational communication as a major. I know there is. We see people who we think are attractive on some level and we do attribute good things to them, absolutely. So yeah, I'll take it, but I do think it's so interesting. I think we're going to start a whole war on our comments, by the way, Keenan, on this, because I know there's people feel so strongly about stuff like this, and I'm just sharing totally from my experience, right? Other women may have a totally different experience out there, and they may be like, that's so, but whatever, this is just my experience. And I can tell you, it's good in some ways, but it's really challenging in others too, to have that. To kind of go through that process, because you kind of want to know, like, are people tuning in for the message, right? Not just kind of, oh yeah, but like, are they getting what I'm focused on?
Mm-hmm. There's some truth to that. Absolutely, there's some truth to that. Like anything else, is right. There's the positive and the negative. There's no question about it.
So, but I can tell you, like with their Shama TV videos, it's been crazy, and we can also talk about like YouTube versus Facebook, because those videos that we've been doing, and they've all, like, okay, and I'll also tell you what I think works really well, which I think you guys are absolutely acing on this show. Your show has to have a theme to it, right? So podcasts or things that just talk about like a general, hey, this is Keenan, I'm going to talk about whatever I feel like today, they don't get as much. Keenan's like, wait, that's what I do. No, but like, you guys have a really clear message, right, Keenan? Like, you're the go-to guy for sales. Like that's your thing on this podcast. And then stopped because he used to do this like Jay Today, and he did his last video and said, I'm going to come back to it, but I've learned a lesson that there has to be a theme to this. It can't just be like whatever, because your audience doesn't collect around that. Now for me, that's marketing. That's all about marketing, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, Keenan, because marketing and sales isn't like old school anymore, right? It's everybody has to market and sell. Like, you're selling yourself, you're marketing, like, marketing and sales is life. I think Daniel Pink did a huge favor when he wrote, to sell is human, because to market is human. Like, marketing is a dirty word sometimes, or sales, like people are like, oh, icky. No, we do it all the time. Kids do it when they're trying to get their parents to let them stay out later, right? We do it when we're trying to convince our significant other of something, or like get our boss to, it happens all the time. It's ubiquitous. So that for me was a big part of starting Shama TV, to talk about marketing and personal branding and stuff. My challenge is unique in that, especially in the YouTube world, most of the content is B2C. There's a lot of fruit and cakes, and I don't know why I just said fruit and cakes. I meant like more food.
Now you talk about chocolate cake in your book. You're like, so you have a chocolate cake website, and I'm like, I wonder what she's thinking about right now.
I know, exactly. I'm such a foodie. So there's a lot of B2C content, right? Food and makeup and fashion and lifestyle. And so what I'm trying to do is also different in that, yes, it applies to everyone, but it's not lifestyle. It doesn't fit into that category. It falls more into the business category. But what I found is fascinating with our videos, on average, and again, we've only been doing this for 2 weeks, on YouTube, we might get 50, 60 views per video, right? By not pushing it out too much, just a link out once. But on Facebook, we're averaging between 5,000 to 10,000 views per video.
Okay, it's interesting. We've sort of noticed the same thing with different things. We're not as good at putting the word on Facebook. Kiki, as head of marketing, let's look at that more often. What we're seeing, interesting enough, is we take these videos and we turn them into podcasts. And we're getting 10, and I think we're getting close to 15 times now more listens than we are views on YouTube, and I think our smallest one on YouTube is like 100 and something. Our largest one is 1,000. So topic plays a big role, unequivocally. But beyond that, we're really finding that people are gravitating towards listening to it in their car, because it's 45 minutes to an hour. So not many people want to sit in front of their computer watching this unless it's my kid or someone who's 19, 20, 21. So I agree with you. Different platforms are definitely showing different engagement levels.
Totally, and I would highly recommend Facebook, by the way, for you guys. And here's what you should, with Facebook, my advice is, upload it natively. So when you take this video, right, it makes a huge difference. So when I put a YouTube link, we get, I don't know, I mean, we've got such a huge reach on Facebook too, but let me just put it this way. When we upload natively versus a YouTube link, we get 10 times more visibility on that video. And it's totally worth doing some promoted ads to promote it too, by the way, to get those, to get more views, especially if it's targeted to more of your community, stuff like that. I mean, it's such a big deal. So it's funny because if you look at these videos on YouTube, you're like, oh, okay, you know, but it's the overall reach is incredible. So yeah, I mean, I would totally, and this would be such a good fit. So I think that's really smart. So my takeaway from this is, yes, Shama, you're right track, podcast that stuff more. And then
Yes,
I would love to see, yeah, and I would love to see you guys, you know, and let me actually turn this around because I like doing this when I'm on this because it's fun. So what do you guys use to, by the way, turn things into to a podcast? Like, do you have a favorite tool? Do you just, like, how do you pull the audio? Do you use iTunes? Kira, tell us everything.
It's her job. Yes, it's Kira's job. Kira, how do you do it, sister? What's the magic behind the black box?
So we go through SoundCloud, and they make it super easy. I just upload it to SoundCloud, and you embed a piece of code from your SoundCloud account into iTunes or vice versa. They'll help you with that. And then as soon as you upload it to SoundCloud, then it populates in LinkedIn. I think it takes a maximum of 24 hours to make it onto iTunes from there. But yeah, it's a super simple process. All I do is I download the video from YouTube because it populates there quickly from Hangouts and upload it to SoundCloud, and it's off.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Intern
can do that.
It's been a pretty big growth too, Kiki. We've only been putting it into iTunes and SoundCloud for what, a month and a half, 2 months or something, right?
Only been 2 months.
2 months, and we're well over 1,000 subscribers already.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a podcast before. We didn't have iTunes before, and it just started taking off. We didn't expect it to go like that. So podcasts are definitely the way to go.
Okay, interesting. You know, and I think here's the thing, and I talk about this in the book, and I'm a big fan of this, Keenan. Like, I'm curious from a sales perspective what you think. I think today, like with marketing, it's all about options, right? So a couple months ago, I was having breakfast with the CEO of Campbell Soup, who is this awesome woman, and we were talking about like how, you know, you're never again going to reach 80% of your audience that you wanted through one TV ad at a given time. It just, like, that time is never coming back, ever, you know? I feel like today people are so used to choices that we have to provide those choices because we as consumers keep raising the bar, and we as producers then have to rise to meet that same bar. Because I think about like a couple of years ago, you know, what options did you have in reading a book? Yeah, paperback or hardback.
Yes, and you had to go, and you had to get in your car and drive to go get it.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean, that's another great layer. I mean, if you wanted to read a book, you literally had to go drive, pick it up, bring it back. You know, if you ordered maybe some bookstore who you made friends with, it could take a week. It's crazy. But today, all those barriers are gone, but we're so demanding. Like, paperback, hardback, please, that's so 1999. Like, today it's, Keenan, can I watch The Word? Wait, Keenan, can I just listen to it? Because I don't really care to see anybody's faces. I just want to listen. Like, oh, and then Kira, can I just get a transcript of that? Because I read faster than I listen or watch. You know, like that would be so much easier. Actually, you know what, guys? I'm really busy. Can I just get like the tweetables this week? It's amazing. And then you still have those people that are like, hey, Keenan, loved your keynote for us. Can you print out your slides? Like, people like print them out. Yeah, and I need to put them on my boss's desk. He wants a printed copy of your slide.
Yeah.
It's just choices, and we're so used to them that not having it makes people be like, "What do you mean it's not available that way?" Like, what, you know, is our new standard.
You're so right. It's a new standard, and what's interesting is how people choose to play within that standard. Because I think there are some people who are very clear in drawing the lines, and they're saying, "Look, this is what it is, and this is how you get it." So you play within my realm, and there's other organizations that try to do it for everybody, and I don't subscribe to the second one. I think you have to play where you can maximize your value, and if that means some people are not going to follow you or get your stuff because of your delivery mechanism, then the value of your content was really never that valuable to them in the first place. So you said something that was really powerful. And I
Wait,
didn't know if you realized.
that's really interesting, Keenan. Sorry, repeat that again. I'm so like, this is so interesting. So you're of the school of thought where you feel like if you're so hung up on the delivery, you're missing the message?
Yes, then the message
That's
wasn't
interesting.
valuable enough to you. Then the message, the content wasn't that valuable to you in the first place. So in other words, if the content is valuable enough, right, I'm going to choose the medium that works best for me. But if that medium isn't available and the content is that powerful, then I'm still going to go get the content.
But this is interesting because you're talking about now about that conversion level, right? But to even get someone to check out your message, to even decide if it's worth it, but to even the attract part, to even decide if it's worth it, don't you think it helps to have multiple different options so to entice a bigger group of people?
Absolutely. It helps to have more than, not multiple, more than one, right? But you don't need, my opinion is, I don't think you need them all for attraction because people will give most things once, right? So I'm not a huge, I mean, I like YouTube, but I don't like sitting and watching it for hours. But I like Gary Vee, and I like his Gary Vee show. So I would rather watch that on TV than not watch it at all because, I mean, not on TV, on YouTube than not at all because I think it's good, right? So I'm not going to abandon it because it's not delivered in the medium that works best for me. So I think there's a relationship between the power and the value of the content and the delivery mechanism. Another way of looking at it too is, and the reason I've got to this place, and it's funny, it's talking to Gary Vee, he fits in here as well, is I swear in my podcast, I got a book coming out, I swear in the book, the editor said you should take out the F-bomb, I said I'm not going to do it, and my point was this, if you're getting caught up in the fact that I use a curse word, then you're not listening to the content in the first place, and you're prioritizing the wrong things. So you're really not a fan. You're not my target audience. I don't need you. I mean, I like you. Great. I love you. You know, like curse was good for you, but leave because you're missing the point.
Wow. See, I think this is so interesting, Kenan, because this is like, I think we would make awesome panelists for a panel because I have such a different view on that because I'm almost, it's so funny because I feel like just like on the other side where it's like and I totally get this, either you're part of the tribe or you're not, right? And great, best of luck to you, but this is me and the people that are going to be attracted are going to be attracted to this style. I also feel on the flip side, there's a responsibility though, almost like I feel a certain sense of responsibility that if I can cater my message to a broader group of people, then I will have helped more people. You know what I mean? Like, if it means being politically correct, then by all means, I'm happy to be politically correct. If it means that I get to help more people and more people get to hear that message. So it's interesting. I think it's two sides of the same coin.
So here's the interesting piece of where you're going. It assumes, so you can see me, but I can't see you, right? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you waving your hands.
Okay, so this is a pendulum.
Don't care.
Right?
Isn't that a song?
Okay, here's the pendulum. The assumption that if you can be more politically correct and get more people to listen to your message, the assumption is you don't lose people out here or out here, and the assumption is they're as engaged. And I have this belief system that when you, and actually Seth Godin sort of gets behind me in this a little, when you try to make your message for everybody, or you try to get it to get more audiences, it has to be less controversial, it has to be less unique, it has to be less different because you're trying to get more people with different opinions. So the more you try to get, the less different, unique, controversial, et cetera it has to be. So I think you actually start losing people and the engagement is lower. You're better, my belief system is you're better off to have 10,000 raving fans than 25,000 people like, oh yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the pendulum analogy is certainly interesting. Like I said, I think it's just two sides of the same coin. So how interesting. It's
who knows? We'll see what happens over time. Look, I've been wrong once, I'll be wrong again, but it's the general theory I have.
You're right. I see that's the thing. I don't think there's one right way, right? Because I think that there's like if you take a look at music, right? You have those bands that have a small number of fans, but oh my God, they're raving fans, right? They absolutely love it. But then you also have someone like Taylor Swift, who is a huge sensation by all metrics and does appeal to a really, I mean, you've got cops singing to her in their car, you know? And so I think it's just two different approaches to very similar things.
Mm-hmm. I think music is a tough example because that's a little. I would agree with you on music. I don't think that's a similar analogy. But that being said, if you have to figure out who you are and who your audience is and how you want to deliver that. And if someone feels they want to use every medium possible, then use every medium possible. And really my point is if you have the infrastructure and the resources to use all the mediums to attract people, and so therefore the risk or the cost of that is low, then by all means necessary, do it. I was coming from the assumption that, look, it's expensive, time-consuming, et cetera, to do every single medium. So if I have to pick and choose, I'm going to pick those ones I'm really good at, and I'm going to run the risk of losing somebody because I can't print the manuscript of all my presentations for all the people that ask for it. I just don't have the time. So if they're not going to get it any other way, or they're not willing to get it any way, or it doesn't have enough value for them to actually get it another way, then all right, I have to lose them.
Well, you've got quite a following, so I think you're doing something right.
I'm just learning from you. Which reminds me, right? So let's flip this, right? So we started talking about this brand idea. We've talked about video, but we really haven't set the show up, which is funny. Let's try to set it up. What's changed, Shama, that you said branding is now not what you showed today? You said it on your Shama TV, or it was today, or you just put up on YouTube today, or whatever. I'm on Facebook today. I just saw it. Marketing today isn't just for companies. What's changed? Why do you believe it is? And why do you think people need to pay attention to this idea of not only marketing for their companies, but for themselves?
Oh yeah, because I mean, we now all live digital lives, right, guys? I mean, it's funny because we all have a digital footprint, whether we like it or not. It's part of being human. It's part of living in modern society. I mean, I guess you could just go be born in the Amazon and never have but that's so rare. I mean, you're talking like maybe 1% of the population. For the majority of the world, if you were born in the modern world, you have some sort of digital footprint. I mean, think about parents who put up, sonogram pictures before a child is born. That is part of their digital footprint. I mean, someday they're going to be 21, some employer's going to Google it, some college admission counselor at 18 is going to Google it, and they're going to be able to track all the way back to their sonogram pictures. I mean, imagine having a footprint before you actually have a footprint. And so I think we all have that. I mean, we're all defined by our social.
Have a footprint before you actually have a footprint.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but it's absolutely true because other people are now also are able to add to that, right? So you could say, I'm never going to get on the internet, I'm never going to do anything, but if you ever attend a party where someone is taking pictures, if you are just active in the world, like, when I started my company, it's funny because I have quite the digital footprint now, but when I started, I Googled myself, and one of the first things I found was a poem I'd written when I was like 14 years old. And
wow.
The school had uploaded it because they thought the internet was a fad or whatever, but it was a poem about like girl power, star power. It's embarrassing. It was embarrassing, and it's still out there. And I swear, if you guys find it, I'll swear it's another Shama Hyder. Like, it's such a common name, not my poem. But that was part of my digital footprint, and that's what clients could see if they would have searched me back then. And I'm sure you could still find it on page 56 or 57 or whatever it may be. But the only choice you get now is how do you want to cultivate it, right? Do you want to have a say in that? So it's kind of like a blank canvas in many ways, and yes, you can be upset that other people splatter paint on it, or you can say, I'm going to turn this into a masterpiece. I'm going to take my own paintbrush to it.
Be proactive is what you're saying. Look, be proactive. Look, it's foregone conclusion. You're going to have a digital footprint, so therefore you have a choice. Let it create itself, or you create it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, exactly. Well said. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you tell me you were having lunch with the CEO of Campbell's, and I have a friend who is at a C-level at a company called Regal Cinemedia, or NCM, National Cinemedia now, they changed their name. And he was telling me that the coaching executives get is don't have a digital presence. Don't blog. Don't get on Twitter. Don't do any of that because companies don't want to hire people with that level of exposure and that brand because they want the brand to be the company, not the individual. Are you hearing that too? What was your advice to that CEO, and what are your thoughts?
That is so, I mean, use a not politically correct term. That is so retarded. I mean, because we're not being PC on this show, but like really that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard because today leadership is so much also about digital leadership, right? And like knowing how, I mean, it's so funny. I think there's so much to be said about companies that have had phenomenal leaders like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and now Mark Zuckerberg in his own way. I mean, these are companies that are built around their leadership philosophy. I feel like some of the best leaders today are the ones that are understanding social. And you know what? The funny thing is, it's funny that you would say that companies see it as like, oh, could it be a liability that or your personal brand is like outshining the company brand? Do you know what an asset it is to have a company leader that if the company is ever in trouble, that can use that personal brand? Because people are going to be a lot more willing to forgive a person, hear them out, care about them than they will ever a nameless company. Like, it's amazing to me. And so,
amen. But that's what they're getting taught. Did you know that that's what executive coaches are teaching these people?
That's so crazy. That's actually the first time I've heard that, Keenan, because a great book, by the way, on the topic is Charlene Lee's book on digital leadership. And Charlene Lee's book on digital leadership, and it's excellent because she talks about how the best CEOs, the best leaders today in the C-suite are people who are very activatingly cultivating tools out there to listen, to respond, to be really smart about it. There's actually one of my favorite examples, and I often use this, there is a bank, a Tangerine Bank. Are you familiar with Tangerine Bank?
Mm-mm. I remember Orange, or whatever it's called.
They are in Canada. They're in Canada, and their CEO is this guy named Pete Aceto. Now, I've never met Pete. We've only traded tweets, and he has 21,000 followers on Twitter. And he's written a book called Weology, How Everybody Wins When We Comes Before Me. And his tweets are so authentic. And I mean, I didn't know who Tangerine was. I know it because of him. I have a lot of respect for their organization because of him. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, it's
so much respect that you're talking it like them now when you say organization.
Oh, absolutely.
You went Canadian like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the other day he tweeted something like he rushed through a meeting with someone who was really trying to share something with him, and he felt bad about it, and he was like, lesson learned. And it was great that he would share something like that up there. I mean, it's just, I think.
So what was the name of the book? What was the name of the book by Kiki? Let's get her on the show. And
Charlene would be a great guest. Let me see if I can.
Because I think you were preaching to the choir. I absolutely agree with you. I debated with my friend for quite some time. He's done extremely well. He's this company's a publicly traded company. He's part of the executive team, and he vehemently argued with me. He knows he wants to do it for him, but he's conflicted because of all the information he was given.
Yeah, no, you should actually get him a copy of this book because Charlene Lee's book is called Open Leadership: How Social Technology Can Transform the Way You Lead.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I may even put it in my book. I got a book coming out in 6 weeks, which, by the way, I sent you an email. I want to put you in it. So when we get off this thing, don't go away because I want to make sure I get some things from you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to. That's so cool. Yeah, so I mean, Charlene Lee's a great book, a great author, great book, and it has examples. It has examples from CEOs and public company leadership that are really doing great job, using all these tools available to them. So I think any executive coach preaching that is doing a disservice, but I also think it stems from their own fear. Like, because what if then, I think they ask them, oh, how? And they're like, don't know, can't tell you. I'm not saying everyone's out there like that. Like I said, this is the first that I'm hearing about that advice being given. I know companies have generally been scared, But I think that that has to change. Especially, I talk a lot about millennials too. And it's funny because they talk about millennials, but that's the majority of the workforce now in like the next 3-5 years. So the workforce, the majority of the workforce wants an engaged leadership. It's not hey, that's nice to have. It's a prerequisite.
They want access. They want to see what they think. One of the things I think is interesting about really, really good social presence, and I'm going to follow this guy on Tangerine. What's his name again? Kiki, can we grab it? What's his name?
His name is Peter Aceto.
Peter Aceto. I'm going to follow him. Is the visibility we have when we see our leaders that we may never see walk through the hallways if you work for a big company, or you may only see who stand up at the quarterly meeting, but then to see who they are. I think it's the one thing that people in social, or the opponents of social, or the antagonizers of social miss. They say, oh, no one picks up the phone anymore. Oh, nobody really knows each other. When you told me that you're at the soccer game with your daughter on the weekend, or when you told me that you spent Thanksgiving giving out food, or when you told me, like this Peter guy, that you just screwed up with an employee and you got to make it better, I get to see who you are. Or if all you do is talk about yourself and say, hey, I'm posting another selfie of myself, hey, check me out, I get to see who you are. Not who you say you are, who you actually are. And that has value.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does, and there's funny because there's been studies done on this too, and it's the academics in me, where people say, oh, but people can make up a persona of themselves online, and is that who they really are? And actually, they find that over time, the truth does come out. I mean, you can only pretend to be someone you're not for so long. I mean,
Amen.
I'm sure there's people out there who can do it for longer than others, but really, eventually the cracks show up, So
absolutely.
So I do think that they've done studies. They find that social media is a fairly reflective and honest a reflection of who the person is. It's not comprehensive, of course, nothing, but what really is,
Yep. So I completely agree. So, all right. So what do we got? Oh, we got about 10, 15 minutes. So I want to get a little more into your book, just for you and for our readers. All right, so the premise here, God, I've done an awful job today of actually getting the premise. So people listen, the premise is that you got to use social. You got to manage your personal brand. Companies, you got to manage your personal brand, the company's brand through social. You got to understand how it works. You got to understand the new digital mediums. You got to understand the new world, because as Shama says in her book, the old world is gone. The idea of reach, we talked about that. Look, you're never going to reach 80 million people again, or your entire 80%, I think is how you said it, of your audience. But you know what? You can engage with 10% or 20%. And engagement at 10 or 20% is far more valuable than reaching 80% and more cost effective if you do it right. So understanding this premise is where we are, and the things have changed, and you got to do it. Real quickly, Shama, talk about this idea about social and selling and social marketing. And one of the things in your book that really jumped out at me is you said social media isn't for converting strangers. I love that. Tell people what that means, because anybody who's listening right now is like, okay, I'm going to start. Keenan's right. He's been telling me forever. Now let's go. Shama's telling me. I'm going to get on it. They're going to go do some stupid stuff. What do you mean when you say social media isn't for converting strangers?
So, social media is a good first step in that it's a good attraction tool. Like if anyone, and this I think was more of a misconception at the beginning, but I guess it's funny, people still don't really understand how social is used. But, for example, you set up a Facebook page and say, hey, I'm not getting any sales out of this thing. Really? You expected someone to go to your Facebook page for the first time and just buy? It's a relationship builder. It's the first step. I mean, think about, this happens to me all the time, and I'm sure that happens to you too, Keenan, in that someone will say, oh, I heard you speak 2 years ago at a conference, and now, we'd like to bring you to do this. I'm like, 2 years? Or someone will say, I've been getting your newsletter for 3 years, and now our company would love to work with you. And I'm like, you waited 3 years to try to do this? But it happens all the time. So it is about, I think it goes back to this, and I think this word is the least sexy word. Nobody likes to hear it, but it is, to me as a marketer, such a hot word, and that word is consistency. Like, consistency is not a sexy word, Viral is sexy,
Instant gratification, right? We all want it now.
But consistency, it's like, oh, that's Prudence's boring cousin, consistency. There's nothing, but it's a solid, good word. And companies are built on this. Marketing is successful around this. You have to have consistency. Like, for example, the word. I mean, it's such a cool show. I really like this. Is awesome. But if you just did one and you put it out there, do you really think it would do it? Like, yes, you might feel a little like blip on the radar, but it's nothing. It's not going to be an actual like. It doesn't make someone the go-to person to see one thing. It's that repetition. It takes hustle. It takes work. It takes consistency. It's never that one campaign. It's never that one tweet or that one update. But people think that. People think, well, no, I've been doing it for like 3 whole months. Really, 3 whole months. And so it reminds me of like the whole, success is like 10 years in the making. Overnight success is 10 years in the making or something. And it's so true because you do hit a tipping point at some point. That's absolutely true. But it takes consistency. Matthew McConaughey, of all people, I just think it's so funny, but he gave the most epic convocation address. Commencement address for university in Houston, and he had some great lessons. Like Time published his piece because it was so well written. But one of the things he said in there was, you have to stop being impressed with yourself and keep going out and doing more things. And I think that's true for businesses too. Like, the bigger the company, the more likely that they are that they could be impressed with themselves and what they've accomplished. But that's yesterday. That's nothing for today or tomorrow. Like, you have to keep working at it. You have to keep doing things. Even with marketing, it takes experimentation. I'll give you guys a sneak peek. I'm about to do a Halloween episode for Shama TV, and I'm going to talk about why marketing is a scary word. And it's scary because failure is scary, and that's inherent in marketing and sales because for every yes you get, you're going to have to hear no's, and that's okay, right? I'm sure you preach that to people all the time.
It's funny. This is almost going to sort of bring us back to our little discussion or debate before, in many ways. Absolute consistency is it, and you have to keep doing things. You have to keep trying things. And I believe, so tell me your thoughts on this, if you do something different, or if you do something at all, right, you're doing something, and everybody likes it, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it depends. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think everyone is ever going to like everything you do, right? There's always going to be people you just can't please. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to aim for a wide mark, right? Like to appeal to people in a. I'll give you an example. Comedy is a really good example of this, right? Because comedy, like let's take Amy Schumer. I saw her perform, and I think she's great.
Inbound, right?
But yeah. Amy is also a very particular type of comedy, and it's not going to appeal to everyone. And in some ways, she's very polarizing because of the things she says and does. And I think it is who she is. But she has a very loyal following, but it's not everyone, right? But then you look at Seinfeld, and Seinfeld is an amazing stand-up comedian. I've heard him in Vegas, and do you know that his show was totally packed? This was at Caesar's Palace. And it was a mix of people. It was families and young people and probably people who would also like the comedy of Amy, but also people who wouldn't. And the reason he has such wide appeal is because in his entire set, he never cursed once. And I'm not saying that's the be-all or end-all, but I'm saying he found a way to make comedy appealing in a way that would still have mass appeal in some way, but it wouldn't turn off people.
Okay, no, good. I think you're right. So I'm taking it at a more tactical level because you listed like tactical. The idea of trying new things, right? I'm sure he did that. He got there because he tried new jokes and he tried new approaches, and he wasn't trying to get everybody to like it out of the box.
Absolutely.
Right? And some people liked it and some people didn't like it. He said, okay, I got feedback. I think too many people try to come out of the box trying to please everybody. So let me tell you why I asked this question.
Yes.
And you tell me what you think. The other day, because we were just talking about this idea of connect with our audience, we sent an email out to our entire subscriber base that basically said in the subject message, please unsubscribe. And then what we said in there is like, we get it. Your mailbox is packed all the time. You get this stuff from everybody, and sometimes you forget to unsubscribe. And we don't want to clutter your inbox. If you're not getting the value from this being in this newsletter that you would like, we're going to make it easy for you to get out, right? Not because we don't love you. We want you to stay, but we don't want to clutter your inbox with this stuff, right? You should have seen the responses we got. Holy shit. One side of the thing was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I love your stuff. I'm staying. Never. I'm not leaving. Some people said, you know what? Thanks for the reminder. I like your stuff, but I just have too many. Thanks for making it easy to unsubscribe. To, what are you guys, assholes? What the hell is this? What the frick are you doing? You're an idiot. I had one guy spend about, easily 500 words on why he was such a great marketer in the end and said, you're the dumbest marketer I've ever met. I mean, it was amazing, the response.
Yeah.
So that told me I made a good decision because I did something unique and different.
Yeah, so I think here's the thing, right? This is something that I have prided myself in, and I think it's a big help. I'm not a perfectionist. I don't think that in today's world you can be a perfectionist at most jobs and succeed. I think you have to learn to be an editor instead. Like, constantly reiterate, learn from things. That's what editors do. I mean, you look at a magazine, for example. Every issue is slightly different. You learn, what works, what didn't work, how do we change this up, what do we keep doing more of. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to amplify what's great, and you have to stop doing what doesn't work. But to do that, you have to test. Absolutely. You know, there's so much to be said about experimentation, Keenan. I think you have to find the balance between staying true to you, finding that audience. You're never going to please everybody. I mean, this is true across the board. I will tell you, speaking of hate mail, I got a nasty email the other day from a woman who was very upset that my personal website, the blog, had not been updated in over a year, and how could I possibly practice what I preach, and blah, blah, blah. And I just, she had a valid point in that we had done a really bad job keeping my personal blog at shamahyder.com updated because I was too busy writing for Forbes in Inc. in Marketing Set and Amazon, all these other platforms that I was doing stuff on, but we just hadn't linked it all back to putting it on the blog. But it was funny that she would take the time to write that email and just be like, just to oh, you don't practice. And I was like, oh wow, if okay, I mean, good feedback in that, hey, it's on us, we should have kept that updated, but also amazing at how much vitriol there was in this, right? So just it was a really vitriolic response to really you didn't find enough stuff there to keep, and it's just funny because I spend 80% of my day creating content, whether it's through podcasts like this or videos or that's my job. That's what I'm focused on. But it's you always get that, or we send our newsletter, people respond and they're like, please unsubscribe me. Okay, the unsubscribe link is right there, dude. You don't need to big letters, buddy. Come on, who can
we put it right in smack the middle.
Yeah,
we do it once a quarter. Get them out.
And of course, when you have 20, 30,000 people on your list, that'll happen. You'll have, or I never subscribed to this. Sir, you had to because it's a double opt-in. Not only do you have to put your email in, then it emails you asking if you made sure that you had put your email in. There's 2 steps. I promise you, you just take your email off. But whatever, people are burnt, they're scared, and you're like, oh, okay, nope, sorry, no worries, this is how we work. But you have to be respectful. But yeah, of course, it takes all kinds. Or I'll give you my favorite one, Keenan. I recently had someone who kept reporting me the Better Business Bureau and the Federal Trade Commission and sent letters to my publisher because the first edition of my book that I wrote in 2010, so this is 5 years ago, it said that there would always be an updated copy online, all right? And for 2 years, we kept things updated, but it changed too fast to try to keep doing that. So there's more editions of the book. Now, anytime someone's emailed me and says, I have the first edition, even 5 years later, I have permission from my publisher where I sent them the latest copy that I have, whatever e-version that I have, and just say, hey, listen, thanks so much for being a reader. Here's the latest version. Because I still want to make good on that promise. But it happens so rarely. It's 5 years ago. Most people will just go buy the 4th freaking version that's out now, whatever. But this guy was so, he was so upset. And it's the first version isn't even being sold anymore. Like, that book does not exist. You cannot buy it from Amazon anymore. It is out of print. It is out of stock. It is out of sale. And nothing I did was good enough for this guy. I mean, we sent him an actual latest copy of the book, an e-copy. I sent him multiple emails, like, really sorry, I understand, like, why this could be confusing. No response to me. Instead, he would keep escalating it and sending it and being like, I haven't heard back from the author, to the point where I was forwarding the Better Business Bureau my emails, being like, here are all the emails with all the attachments. It was such a time drain, and it was such a pain in the ass. And then the Better Business Bureau, I was like, this isn't even anything to do with my company. This is a guy who was pissed at the publisher. This is not, I mean, I don't know how to tell you the difference. So, of course, they responded with, would you like to be a member?
Hey.
But this time, I'm just like, dear Lord in heaven, like, I don't know. But look, so anyways, it's just so funny because it happens all the time. You can't please everyone. I think you still have to be a decent human being. I wish more people were decent human beings, but it takes all kinds. And the best example of this is to go to any story online, any story on The Atlantic, The New York Times. It doesn't matter what it's about. It could be about baby kittens being rescued, and within 5 comments, it will turn to politics and why it's President Obama's fault. Like, I don't care which, I don't care which, and this is not, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat, but I'm just amazed at how quickly every freaking story can deteriorate into politics. 5 comments or less. That's my challenge. Find any popular story on any popular network, and you will see that in 5 comments or less, it goes in. It's just, people will see what.
Challenge taken. Challenge taken. I'm going to stop paying attention to that. Yes. All right, so, by the way, take note, Kiki, that about a minute and a half ago, we got Shama to say ass on our show, so that is
I heard that.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I know that we've done the show right when we get our guests out of the script and just expressing themselves. That's what it's all about. I want people out of script, so well done. Well done. Right
I don't know what you're talking about. Akira, could you stop dubbing for me? It's just so
All right, so Shama, last few minutes, I want you to sort of, look, you're pretty good at you're like me, you're pretty good at taking the soapbox. I'm going to give you the soapbox, okay? And for the next minute or two, I want you to tell our audience, which is mostly going to be people who are interested in sales, marketing, personal branding, social media, success, motivation, blowing it up, getting this shit together, hustling, all that stuff. That's the crew. I want you to tell them something. You're a minister. You're a preacher. I want you to preach something, some gospel to these folks. When they walk away like, oh, damn, she's right. I need to do X. Can you do it?
So, wait, soapbox is not the same as beatbox, right? Because that's...
Oh, you can beatbox. I'm impressed.
Dude,
yes.
I could be... Yeah. Wow, I wish. Yesterday I was thinking in my head, if I was ever on Jimmy Kimmel, which, of course, this is what I do in the shower, I think about when I'm on Jimmy Kimmel, and how I'm going to tell him that I'm a terrible singer, and he's going to be like, no, please sing, and I'll be like, no, Jimmy, this isn't like your regular stories where people are like, watch what happens when Jimmy Kimmel asks her to sing, and, like, she says she's bad, and then she's awesome. I was like, this is very anticlimactic. I just suck. There's no... all at the same time, but I will say that I think takeaways from this, right, is that, one, experiment. You have to. You can make smart decisions. Experimenting doesn't mean that you're making just kind of crazy off-the-wall things, but calculated risks are part of business. It's part of marketing and sales. So try different things. Absolutely try different things. 2.
And okay, 2, yep.
Just be quick to apologize if something doesn't work and you feel like you genuinely messed up. Quick little sales story for you. We had so many leads coming in that we created this email that pretty much said, hey, this is who we work with, this is our price point that we started with, and that was the first email that we would send to leads contacting us because we were getting so many. And one prospect, I know Keenan is like, that's bad. Okay, so thank you, Keenan. So one prospect responded and was like, hey, this really turned me off because this isn't the first interaction we want to get. And we responded and we were like, we're so sorry. you know, here's why we did it, and I totally get it. Thank you so much for the feedback. We hope you will give us another chance. They became a client, right? Because I don't know if that interaction was so important, because I think they got to see us as human, and they got to see us as responsive, and they got to see that we care. So it wasn't just like an automated message and like no one cares about what you have to say. It was something we learned, right? So you have to be able to like make decisions, learn from them, and be able to apologize when things don't work out or when you feel like something's gone awry. And I think 3, you have to take advantage of social media to not just build your company, but your personal brand. It's very intertwined, and you have to stay consistent as you do it. The last thing I would say is give people choices. So you're right, your message is up to you. You know, you want to get the audience that's core to what you're doing, but you want to give them options in how they can interact with you. That's more visibility for your brand. And that allows you to reach a bigger part of the audience. You get a bigger share of the pie. So those are my takeaways.
I'll do spirit fingers for you.
Yay. Thank you, Kira. I like it. High five. High five.
All right, truth. All right, well, listen, Shama, it was a pleasure freestyling with you. This was a true freestyle. I had a whole bunch of questions we didn't get to, so that usually is a good thing because it means we were just flowing and it was unscripted. I love it. Love your enthusiasm and your energy. Thank you. All right, people. Thanks. Who do we got next week, Kiki? Do we have somebody? We're booked all the way through the rest of the year. Who do we got next week? Do you remember?
Next week we have to fill it.
Oh my gosh, we have one open spot. We got some good people coming up, though. We have some good folks coming up. The show's getting better and better. So we will fill that spot in 2 weeks, our next show. That's funny. It's our last one this year because I thought we were full all the way till January, weren't we?
Yep, just one open spot.
Okay, one open spot. That's all good. So everybody, thank you very much for joining this. Again, podcast. Listen on podcast. Also, give us your comments down below in YouTube. Tell us what you think. Ask us. Tell us who you want to see on the show. We've got a list of people coming on the show that's getting bigger and better and more impressive, so you don't want to miss that. Also, my book is coming out, so it's going to be tight. I'm so excited. Early feedback from people like Chris Brogan and folks, it's just off the charts. I'm real excited about that. Oh, shit. Kiki, are we good? Am I forgetting anything?
I think we're good. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, it's over in the showcase for YouTube videos and live viewers. So click subscribe and comment.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to The Word. Kiki, we all good?
We are all good.
All right,
thanks,
everybody.
Guys.
Thank you, Shama. Let's stay on. I'm going to talk to you in a second. Yes, it has. You've been tight. Stay with us. I'm going to talk to you this. But until then, peace, y'all. I'm out.
Just chill till the next episode.